Yes, it's me, Mike Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Gas Shocks, home of the 116 Trophy, a 120 Coupe Cup, Hoddy Tyres. Find the best tyres for your vehicle with top brands to keep you covered in every season and under every condition. And Tarox Brakes, the art of slowing down. Precision engineered in Italy for ultimate performance. You can find the details of all our sponsors in the show notes. I'd like to welcome back to the Backseat Driver the one, the only Mr. Vic Piano. His knowledge of Lincolns and his knowledge of American motorsport is phenomenal. And the reason we're chatting today is to explain Indy to a degree. And of course, the Indy 500 is one of the races every true racing driver wants to win, along with Le Mans. And the motorsport that is a religion in America, which is NASCAR, which appears to have some of the most confusing rules known to mankind. However, Vic Piano, welcome back to the Backseat Driver.
Well, thank you, Mark. I certainly appreciate my return trip.
Now, we'll start with NASCAR, the most confusing branch of motorsport known to man, unless you happen to be a Budweiser drinking all-American motorsport fan.
Well, from my knowledge of NASCAR, I started televising NASCAR. I tell everybody we televised NASCAR before NASCAR was cool, back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
But, a quick history, as I understand it, NASCAR came about in the late pre-war 1930s, but it actually came to prominence and even dominance in the early 50s.
Yeah.
And most guys that were running NASCAR, the names of those guys, they all got their start running moonshine.
Yeah.
And so they all had souped up Fords and, light bodied cars like 36, 37, 38 Ford Coupes or Ford Roadsters were absolutely fabulous for the old dirt track NASCAR racing.
Yeah.
And as the saying goes, NASCAR is go fast and turn left. So that's basically what it is. But I was fortunate when I started it. I mean, I was down in the pits because mostly all the announcers, the sportscasters that we used were very familiar with everything but motorsports. And so myself being an enthusiast and a producer, I did all the interviews in the pits with the teams, the drivers, the team owners, the mechanics, the crew chiefs, everybody like that. And I would tell them, and I was down there with a camera crew, I would say, okay, look, I'm going to ask you a question. When I'm done with the question, count in your head 5 seconds. Don't look at me. Look at the camera and answer the question.
Yeah.
And then I would take that back to the truck, the production truck, and I would tell the announcers, okay, this is the question you ask. This is the response. And we would put it together and edit it for air. So it looked like the announcer knew what the hell he was talking about. But I never took credit for that.
Yeah. Now,
but, I mean, guys like Dale Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip, Bill Elliott, and Richard Petty, the king of NASCAR. But I'll tell you one anecdote that you'll get a kick out of. Junior Johnson, who was an original NASCAR driver, and he came from the world of moonshine running. In fact, he became a guest of the Fed for a while because of his activities in moonshine running. But he actually owned a team in the early 80s, and we were at an event, and I was in the pits interviewing guys, and there was a 40 Ford Coupe running around the track all day in various places, and it had Junior Johnson written on the roof just above the passenger and driver's doors.
Yeah.
And so when I was talking to Junior, I said to him, "Is that your 40 Coupe?" He said, no, some good old boy asked me if he could paint my name on it. And I said, yeah. So you better hope he doesn't get into any problem because it'll be coming after you. And so he said to me, I didn't think of that. I said, well, that was obvious. But they were a cool bunch of guys. And I mean, that was back when it was still, pretty wild. I mean, I went into the prep area. And, they were tearing cars apart to make sure nobody did anything that was, quote unquote, illegal, which it was a pretty broad stroke there and back in the day. But it was an interesting sport to televise, although if you're not an enthusiast, it's kind of like watching golf. It'll put you to sleep if you don't really know, because everybody watches it just in the event that there's going to be a pileup, which is unfortunate, but that's NASCAR in a nutshell.
But I mean, it's a positive religion in America or parts of the States, isn't it? I mean, you watch programs on it and the fans are fanatical, and you watch programs on the drivers and their families and everything else. And apart from the fact the top guys seem to make a tremendous amount of money out of it, it's a world all of its own.
That's very true. I mean, most NASCAR, the only track that was in existence back then that wasn't an oval track per se was out in California at the, I'm going to have a brain for you, at Riverside Raceway.
Yeah.
And that was an actual road course that NASCAR guys drove on. And in order to do that, you had to completely rework the suspensions in the cars.
Yeah.
So they could handle doing more than just making left turns. So and that was an interesting situation. And I can tell you a little bit more about Riverside Raceway because in the mid-'80s, I actually did a deal with Score Off-Road Racing, but that's a whole different deal from NASCAR. So
yeah,
the NASCAR guys, they were, and they still are a world unto themselves. But I mean, they have guys there who are, legends, and who are, like Mickey Mantle is to baseball. They are the kings of NASCAR racing, and it's primarily a Southeast U.S. sport.
Yeah. Now, the one thing, it's like I was saying before we went on air, it's also one of the few branches of motorsport, unlike stock cars where they automatically hit one another, where if you've a two-car team, your teammate who's behind you is allowed to drive up to the back of you, run into you, for want of a better description, and make you go even faster, push you even harder, which is completely unheard of over here.
That's true. And I mean, I've witnessed that, and I've also witnessed fistfights in the pits afterwards. So it's something that's not necessarily expected or accepted, but it happens.
I mean, over the years, the cars have changed dramatically. I mean, it's like you were saying, they were basically standard road cars, just with a roll cage and some reinforcement. And now a lot of them now appear to be Japanese-based cars. I mean, they're a silhouette of what they actually are. But the cars have changed dramatically in NASCAR, haven't they?
Oh, yes, they have. I mean, if you look back at the old films, in the early days, Daytona Beach was where they raced before there was a track in Daytona.
Yeah.
And they would race on the beach, and you would see 56, 57 Ford and Chevy convertibles.
Yeah.
Racing on the sand. And then when they started racing in the tracks and banking the tracks, those same cars were used on the tracks in early racing, and no roll cages. I mean, can you imagine racing a 57 Chevrolet convertible or 58 Ford convertible? I mean, those things were like behemoths on the highway. And then you running in one of those with just a seatbelt and a helmet on?
Yeah.
I don't know. That would scare the hell out of me.
Now, it seems to operate on, at times, a completely confusing league system and league table system where somebody does well, but by the time they finish, they haven't done well, and they have to qualify for all these rounds. How exactly does all that work?
That's a good question, Mark. I can't answer that. I am not that familiar with it. I mean, I go back when Humpy Wheeler, who ran the track in Charlotte, and we did the Charlotte 600 for 3 years in a row. And it was like when you ask somebody a question like that, they looked at you sideways. It's like, asking a mafia don where all his stash is. They're not going to tell you. And they did everything they possibly could to get around the loosely put together rules and regulations for these cars. And I mean, the factory, they had the one rule was that you couldn't race a car unless it was a factory production car.
Yeah.
So you couldn't race something that was, low production. It had to be at least 500, I believe, that was the number that was sold. And back then, the factory guys got involved in a big way. I mean, Ford was involved back in the early days. Hudson was the dominant car, the old Hudson Twin Six. And you look at those, they look like a beach whale. You were to try and get them to run down a track was something that I looked at that and I'm going, well, that thing's the furthest thing you can get from aerodynamic. It looks like a rock with 4 wheels on it.
Yeah. And I must say, when the crashes happen, they are seriously spectacular, aren't they?
They do. They I mean, back in the day when they had little or no protection, they were extremely dangerous. But now it's almost so sanitized that like I said before, it's boring to watch unless you are a diehard fan.
Yeah.
And, you go, when we used to do that at Pocono Raceway, Pocono was like the wild frontier.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of races at Pocono Raceway. And again, I would take, because we did not televise any of it live. We always taped and condensed them to a 1-hour television show format.
Yeah.
But I would take a camera crew. We'd go around the perimeter and talk to people and, shoot some footage to go out on, to come back in on, which is normal television. And at one point, I had this was in 82, because I had a brand new 81 Toyota SR5 4x4 pickup. And we had loaded up the camera crew in the back, and we're driving around and we're looking for people. And there were two lovely young ladies who were in beach chairs on the side of the dirt road, and they were reading programs. And so I walked up to them and I said, would you ladies like to be on television? And they said, oh, yeah, we'd love it. I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to have the cameraman come over and I'm going to give you a hand signal. Have the program up in front of your face. And once I cue you, you drop the program down and say, you're watching NASCAR on Ms. Lou Television Network. Well, they both agreed to do that. And by the time I got back to the truck and got everything set up and came around to do it, I cued them to do it. And as soon as they dropped the programs, their tops were gone.
And
I thought, that's really good, but I can't put that on television. That in a nutshell would tell you about the average NASCAR enthusiast. And a lot of Coors Light and other brands were consumed all day long.
I mean, that's the one thing, the sponsorship that appears to go into NASCAR is incredible with is like you said, the beer and everything else. I mean, the cars absolutely drip in advertising, don't they?
Oh, yes. They are. I mean, they're they're giant rolling billboards. And the sponsors, too, I mean, the guy gets out with his fire suit on, and there's so many sponsorship badges on, you can't even see the original suit.
Yeah.
But that again posed the problem for us on occasion, because Budweiser was not a sponsor of ours, but they were all over NASCAR.
Yeah.
Goodyear was not a sponsor of ours for most of the races, but they were all over. And when you come into the winner's circle, the guys would change hats. Each hat had a different sponsor on it.
Yeah.
And unless they were one of our sponsors, I would tell the cameraman, do not shoot the guy's hat. Shoot from his eyebrows to his chin.
Yeah.
That's all we want to see. So, I mean, in that instance, if they were a pay-and sponsor for the television, it would be great. I'll give you a quick diversion here. When I was selling the Score off-road races at Riverside, Goodyear had a gigantic billboard in the first turn.
Yeah.
And if you were televising a road race, it was no way that you couldn't see that. So Goodyear told me when I was trying to sell them, we don't need it because we have that billboard. So I said, okay, that's for the road race. If you want to talk about off-road racing. So I told them, I tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go shoot that show, and I'm going to edit that show. I'll bring it back to you. We'll watch the hour-long show. For every time you see a Goodyear logo, I'll pay you $100.
Yeah.
And when I took it to them, and they saw there was not one reference to Goodyear in that entire show. So what that did, it became a sponsor the following year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are ways to get around those things.
I mean, just out of interest, from the looks of it, NASCAR lasts for an entire weekend, but how long does a race actually go on for?
Oh, well, the race, depending, I mean, a 600-mile race will go on for what seems like days. I mean, and that's if there's no accidents. If there's an accident, then that slows everything down, and normally there are multiple accidents or wrecks or fender benders or whatever you want to call them, that they go under a yellow and then they go under a red. They got to stop and the track's got to be clean. So that's why, as an independent television network, we would never televise a race like that live in its entirety because it could take all day.
Yeah. But I conclude the fans must love it. The longer it goes on for, the more they will enjoy it.
Oh, well, I think the longer it goes on for and the more adult beverages they consume, the more they're going to enjoy it. I don't know how many of them actually watch the entire race.
And I conclude that just out of interest, the beers that are for sale there, are they discounted down to encourage them to drink more?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. And the only reason I'm not sure is because I don't drink beer.
All right. But, I mean, it seems to be a definite carnival atmosphere at a NASCAR event. As I said...
Well, absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. The whole thing is a carnival. I mean, and, the day before, or when they're building it, when they're getting up to it, they open up the pit areas so people with a pit pass can go down there and they can rub elbows with their hero drivers and team owners. I mean, it is a carnival atmosphere.
Yeah. And the one thing I have noticed, I mean, as I said, the drivers are virtual superstars. They do seem at times more down to earth than other racing drivers.
I think that's very true. And my experience with Formula One drivers, they are aloof.
Yeah.
They are not willing to mingle with the fans nearly as much as the NASCAR guys. I mean, they appreciate their fans because that's what brings in the money.
Yeah. Now, the other branch of American racing, which is slightly more familiar to the English and the Europeans, is IndyCar because it's single-seaters. Now, the other week I had a chat with Derek Daly, the ex-F1 driver who went to race in India, in IndyCar, and his claim to fame is he didn't walk away, but he survived what is still currently the fastest motor racing accident in history, when, even though he managed to skim about 10 miles per hour off his top speed, he impacted the wall at just short of 214 miles an hour. And I said, what's it like? He said, well, basically, you drive in a straight line for 45 seconds. He said, you can virtually take your hands off the wheel because the car is designed to turn left. He said, the speed is incredible. Now, I mean, once again, it's a uniquely American sport, though they did try to bring it to England at a circuit, now defunct circuit called Rockingham, but they failed really to run it because in England it rains, and Indy cars don't like rain apparently. But I mean, that is another serious branch of American motorsport and one you've been involved with.
It is, and I have done 2 Grand Prix races, the Watkins Glen, as I mentioned earlier, and Long Beach Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But as far as the other stock, I have never, ever done a race at the Brickyard.
Yeah.
And so I am not, as familiar with that. But those drivers, they go, NASCAR drivers, they'll do Formula One drivers, they'll do off-road drivers. I mean, they migrate from one racing style to the next.
Yeah.
For me, I've never done that. I've always wanted to do something at the Brickyard. I mean, Indianapolis is like the mecca for the American sports drivers, and it's just it's completely different. I mean, the closest thing to it would be the Grand Prix cars, the Formula One cars.
Yeah.
That we did in Watkins Glen and in Long Beach, and we televised those internationally, both of those events, from start to finish.
Yeah.
And then what we condensed them both to an hour format for U.S. distribution, but we had over 84 countries that were taking our feed internationally when we did both of those events.
Now, though F1 as a whole is now owned by an American company, and they are adding, shall we say, the American razzmatazz to it, although over here, especially in England, we are not overly fond of that side of it. A Grand Prix is a fixed time. Very rarely do they run for longer than 2 hours. But how do the Americans like Formula One? Do they understand F1, or is it just something the Europeans do?
I think that it's just, for this market, for the American market, Formula One is just another form of motorsport.
Yeah. I
don't think it certainly does not have the following. Nothing has the following of NASCAR. But NASCAR just languished in the southern states for years and years and years, and did not come to national prominence until the late 70s, early 80s, when it all of a sudden became the sport to go to.
Yeah. I mean, does it attract... I mean, the one thing Formula One does as such, and especially at Monaco, it attracts the celebrities, most of whom have no knowledge at all of why they're there. They're just being paid to be there by the sponsors and the product manufacturers like Louis Vuitton, people like that. Does NASCAR does that attract the celebrities to the grid, or are the Americans not as bothered about celebrities?
Well, the NASCAR celebrities would be, and I'll probably get all kinds of flack for this, but it'd all be country western singers.
Yeah.
I mean, because that plays into NASCAR. NASCAR is an extension of the country western lifestyle, if you will. Like,
Yeah.
They're all good old boys, and they all come from similar backgrounds. And there's not to my knowledge, the original guys. There was no formal training.
Yeah.
You just got in the car and stepped on the gas. That was about it.
Yeah.
And the guys who were the champions were the ones who had the most nerve or the least amount of sense.
Yeah.
they would just go with it. And I think it's a sport where the average guy can get into it going down the road. I mean, not so much anymore, but initially it was. But I mean, any other form of motorsport racing, you can't just walk into the pit and go, hey, I want to drive this car.
No.
There's a whole lot more involved to it than that. And I mean, the guys in NASCAR, I mean, I think it's like any sports celebrity, like a football player or a baseball player. Your lifestyle goes beyond the sport.
Yeah.
And people look at you not as a NASCAR driver, but as a person who actually drives in NASCAR.
Right.
And so that there's much more to it than a guy who just drives. It's like Joe Namath being a football player. Okay, Joe Namath, Broadway Joe. I mean, his off the field antics were as popular as him playing on the field. So I think it's like Richard Petty. Richard Petty told me one time that he was out driving somewhere in his regular daily driving car on a narrow old road, and there was some woman in front of him who would not pull away, would not get out of his way. So he pulled a NASCAR trick. He bumped her bumper and pushed her out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, who else would do something like that?
Now, the other branch of American motorsport that you've been involved with, though we do have it in England, it's nothing like America, is off-road racing.
Right.
Now, it is, once again, that's a serious thing in America. I think the most famous one, I might be wrong, is Baja, is it not?
Yes. Well, in the early 80s, when I was televising NASCAR, I was a fan of four-wheel drive. I mean, I got into it when I was in the Army, and when I got out, I lived on Long Island where it snowed in the winter, and on this particular street that I bought a house on, I thought it was odd that everybody had a four-wheel drive vehicle until it snowed.
Yeah.
And then I realized that's the only way I can get in and out of here.
Yeah.
So I got into that sport, and I would race at Pocono in the wintertime on the ice and have fun like that. So I decided one day, because I was into all these four-wheel drive trucks and all, I read all about NASCAR. And Mickey Thompson, who was a famous.
Now there's a name from the past. That's a name I do remember.
Yes. Well, now Mickey had started the SCORE Off-Road Championships and SCORE Off-Road, and he had hired a guy named Sal Fish, who had been, I think, the publisher of Motor Trend or Road and Track or one of those magazines. So one day I was in my office, I picked up the phone, I called SCORE, I said, I'd like to speak to Sal Fish or Mickey Thompson. Sal got on the phone, and I said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about televising off-road racing.
Yeah.
He said, that would be great. So I actually flew out to L.A., I met with him, and then I met with Toyota's advertising agency, Dancer Fitzgerald, tried to sell it to Toyota, but they didn't want to buy it the first year. They had another client, Bridgestone Tires, which I sold it to. So Sal said to me, and we were talking about doing the race at Riverside, because to do an actual off-road race like Baja, the expense in producing that was far, far more than I could generate from advertising sponsorships.
Yeah.
So we were going to do the race at the racetrack. So then Sal said to me, do you have to go back to New York right away? I said, no, why? He said, well, how would you like to pre-run the Mexicali 500 with me?
Yeah.
I said, oh, I would absolutely love that. So that I did that. That was my experience there. Then when I got into the off-road racing stuff, no one else had ever done that the way we were going to do it. And I used NBC's post-production facilities a lot out in California.
Yeah.
And so when we finished the first one that we did, this guy named Bruce Flanders, who was a track announcer, he was a great announcer. I hired him to do the play-by-play. Mickey Thompson was going to do the color, and then Sal Fish was going to fill in a little bit. So we edited the entire race at NBC Studios in Burbank while Mickey Thompson and Sal Fish and Bruce Flanders was sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
And once we finished, I put a table up and I gave Bruce Flanders and I gave Mickey Thompson a headset and a microphone. And I said, okay, I'm going to play back the program to you and you are going to add the announcing to it.
Yeah.
So it was already done and it worked out great. And then Mickey actually invited me to come to his house up in the hills, and I went and he was showing. I mean, I knew Mickey Thompson from being a kid in drag racing and everything else.
Yeah.
And I went to his house and he took me in the back. He had a huge garage and he had a fire in it, but it had housed all of his championship vehicles. So a lot of them were missing because they were being restored after being burned.
Yeah.
And we walked into his garage, and in one corner, there was a pile of wooden crates stacked up. There had to be a dozen of them at least. And they all said Fomoco on the side.
Yeah.
And I said to Mickey, what's in those crates? He looked at me and goes, them's 427s. And I looked at him. I said, you wouldn't want to part with one of them. But I was enamored with him because he was a childhood hero of mine.
Yeah.
In racing and all. And then the following year, he was murdered along with his wife, which was a horrible, horrible experience. But such is life, you know. So, I mean, the off-road stuff, I really enjoyed it. Had a great time doing it. But the reality of it was we did it for 3 years. Basically, we broke even for 3 years. And then I told Sal Fish, I said, look, I can't continue doing this because the bottom line is it's not making money for us.
Yeah. So
we got out of it. And pretty much that was the last of the motorsports racing that we did. So it included a lot of NASCAR racing, the Grand Prix races. I did one ISCA drag race, which I was not actually at the event because there was a conflict. I had another event I was doing, so I can't take credit for that. I mean, we did a ton of NASCAR. We did the World 600 a bunch of times. We did the Mountain Dew 500, the Mason-Dixon 500, the Coca-Cola 500, to get back to all the sponsorships that were going on. And we did a Budweiser 500.
Yeah.
So, and a Miller High Life 500. So that was, and Skull, Chew Tobacco, and Snuff. We did those. In fact, they had Burt Reynolds as the Skull Bandit. Yeah.
Because, I mean, Skull Bandit was also one of the sponsors on some of the Le Mans car. I think it was the Porsche, either the 956 or the 962s. There was the Skull Bandit cars. And over here, people wondered what it was, and they had to be told it's chewing tobacco.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very much an American product.
Yes. Again, that's something I never got into. I happen to love cigars.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the other famous American race, but it's not actually a race. They only go up one at a time. I don't know if you've been involved, but the one thing that over in Europe people know about, because of the success of Audi and things like that, of course, is the famous Pikes Peak hill climb. I don't know whether you've encountered that.
Right. No, I have never televised the Pikes Peak hill climb. I've wanted to do it, but it was always my dream to drive a flathead Ford up to Pikes Peak. But, it's still on the bucket list. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Americans, I mean, every right to them. American motorsport is still remains uniquely American in many ways, doesn't it?
It does, and I think at the top of that list, and I think it will never be bumped off, is the NASCAR.
Yeah.
NASCAR is uniquely American. However, like you said, now when you watch NASCAR, you see Toyotas running around the track. You see Nissans running around the track. I mean, to me, that's a sacrilege.
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest. When I've watched the odd thing on Netflix or YouTube about NASCAR, it does seem very strange that they are now all Japanese cars, because to my mind NASCAR is uniquely American, and the cars that, it's like you said, there were Hudsons, there were Chevrolets, there were Fords, there were always the American brands there, and now you hardly see an American brand, which seems a shame.
It does. I mean, NASCAR was started before there were any Japanese cars, before there were any German cars, before there were any other European cars in this country to any degree. I mean, if you, in the 50s, if you saw an XK140 going down the road, you could wait 3, 4, 5 months before you ever saw another one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, NASCAR, the best part about NASCAR, and that I think it was all by design, was that you couldn't race a NASCAR car that wasn't a production model from American car builders.
I mean, do you think the fact that it's Toyotas and Nissan now do NASCAR, do you think it's had an effect on the sales of these cars? Because, I mean, our mutual friend Joe Pep runs Toyotas. I know, much to his annoyance, because it's like he says they're incredibly reliable, but he doesn't like them really. I mean, how much effect do you think it has had on the sales and the popularity of the Japanese cars in America?
Well, I know for a fact that the Score off-road racing had a huge effect, and we had Toyota as our primary sponsor for the last 2 years that we did it, and they had Ivan Stewart, and he was the king of off-road racing, just like Richard Petty was the king of NASCAR.
Yeah.
And so I know they had a following, and I will say, in my life, I've owned one Toyota.
Yeah.
And it was an 81 SR5 4x4 pickup.
Yeah.
And it was the most trouble-free vehicle I have ever owned. And I am a stout Ford, Lincoln, Mercury guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing you do know about Japanese cars, and I'll hold my hand up and admit this. They are incredibly reliable vehicles. I mean, the Toyota and Honda are renowned the world over for being incredibly reliable. A friend of mine used to own a Toyota single cab pickup 4x4. The abuse it was subjected to working on his farm was beyond belief. And it never stopped. There's the famous Top Gear one. They dropped it off the top of a tower block, put it back on its wheels, they started it up and off it went again. I mean, they are, the reliability is phenomenal of them. But it just seems a shame. It just seems a shame that, no disrespect to the Japanese manufacturers, I mean, they're good at what they do, but it would be nice to see American cars at NASCAR.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, even NASCAR has a truck division.
Yeah.
Where they race pickup trucks. And initially, you saw Ford, Chevy, and Dodge pickup trucks.
Yeah.
Well, now that's also become infested with Japanese full-size pickups. I mean, Japanese trucks initially they had a market all to themselves where they were building mid-sized pickup trucks.
Yeah.
In this country, traditionally, a pickup truck was a work vehicle.
Yeah.
In the 80s, all of a sudden, pickup trucks began to rise in popularity with suburbanites.
Yeah.
That was before the SUVs. They had a pickup truck. And then when they came out and Ford had four-wheels or four-door pickup trucks for years that they sold in other countries, never sold them in this country. But when they came out with a four-door pickup truck in this country, I thought, okay, that's a miracle of science.
Yeah.
You have a four-door pickup truck. You can carry your entire family in it. You can carry all kinds of junk in it. It was a limitless truck. You could do anything you wanted with it.
Yeah. And I mean, one last question. Whilst it is, shall we say, unique to a particular area of America, do you think there's any reason why NASCAR has never expanded into other parts of the world?
I would have to guess that the primary reason for that is because it's known as uniquely American.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, if you wanted to run the Dakar to Paris in a brand new Ford a Chevy or something, I don't think you'd have much choice or much chance. And, the European tracks, too, I mean, can you imagine running full-size cars, even a full-size Jag or a Bentley or a Rolls-Royce on the Monaco racetrack? I don't think so. I mean, they're designed for specific style of car.
Yeah.
And the NASCAR is the same way. I mean, NASCAR, like the closest thing they got to running a road course was when they did out at Riverside.
Yeah.
And I believe that was the only road course that NASCAR participated in.
And was it a success, or did they not bother again?
I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't hear you say that.
Was it a success, or did they not bother again?
I don't really know. I don't know if I could even expound on that.
Anyway, once again, Vic Piano, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I mean, it's explained certain things that you need to talk to an American to find out about this, because no matter what you try and look at in England, etc., you never get the true facts about it all. But once again, Vic Piano, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, thank you, Mark. I certainly enjoyed it, and I look forward to being back again.
Oh, you'll definitely be back again. Thanks very much indeed, Vic. Take care.